guys, this is Christina from Brush and Bristle Studio. I hope you guys are having a great day so far. I'm going to go over how to use the 22-ounce Sports Twist Top Multi Mock-Up today. That was a lot to get out. So you're going to want to use Photoshop or Photopea. I know for a fact that these two programs will be fine to use with my mock-ups. Not all programs have the same features as these two. So you want to use my mock-ups in programs that have smart objects and warp features. So if you know of another program that offers those, feel free to let me know, and I'll start doing tutorials with that software in mind as well. But you need those two tools or those two features to be able to use my mock-ups. Now, this is a multi mock-up, so it's 3 mock-ups in one. And I'm going to go over how to use this in Photoshop first, and then in the second part of this tutorial, I'm going to go over how to use it in Photopea. If you're going to use it in Photopea, make sure you watch this portion first, because I'm going to go over how to use the mockup as a whole in this section, and I'm only going to show the difference in the Photopea part. So to get started, you're going to open this up in Photoshop, and you'll look for the red tabbed layers like you see right here, and you've got them in each mockup folder. It's just a way to help you easily identify them. Now once you find it, you can click on one. It doesn't matter which one. And now we're going to want to get a design in there. And just so you guys know, I am going to treat this as like beginner level as possible, because I know there are a lot of people that get these that have no experience with Photoshop or design software or anything like that. So just a heads up that I will be taking it kind of slow for the beginner people. So you're going to go up to File and Open and navigate to the file that you want to mock up. Let's see. So now we want to get this design into the Smart Object document. And to do that, first we want to select this whole image. And you can do that by pressing Control and A, or you can get this marquee tool right here, and you can drag and drop across the document. And you can tell that it's all been selected because the marching ants are going all around the design. So once you see that, you can press Control C, or you can go up here to Edit and press Copy. Once that's done, you can close out of this one, and you see that you're back in your Smart Object document. Now you can press Control V, or go up here to Edit and press Paste. Now, as you can see, this does not fit the canvas. We are working with a 22-ounce design, and this is a 20-ounce design file, so we need to resize it. Now, if you work with 22-ounce designs and this isn't sized right for you and you need me to resize it, feel free to shoot me a message and I can resize stuff for you. It's not that big of a deal. But now we're going to work on resizing this design for now, and we're going to do that by pressing Control T, or go to Edit and Free Transform. And you see you get these anchor points all around your design. Now, if you look up here, you see width and height, and you've got this little link that is highlighted right now that's showing that it's selected. So if you grab any of these anchor points, you can move them. But as you can see, it's all resizing together. Let's say you just want to resize this top part. Let's click on that link, and now you see it's not highlighted anymore. So if you click on this anchor point and you drag it up here, you see it's only resizing this top part. What I like to do is I will move my design to the top corner right up here, and then with that highlighted, you can hold Shift down, and holding Shift will just do one side. Okay. So I'll hold shift and I'll grab this corner anchor point and I'll just drag it right there. And that's my resize. I don't have to deal with 4 sides. That's my quick, easy way to do it. So once you're happy with it, press the check mark, hit enter, and it'll save the changes that you made. Now you want to save this to update the smart object, so you can hit Control S, or you can go up here to File and hit Save. And now you can see in the main document that it is on all 3 tumblers in all 3 mockups. So yay! Now let's take it back a step, and I'm going to show you how to do this with the actions. Now let's go here. This is your folder that you've got when you follow the link. If you click on the actions folder, you've got this actions file right here. If you double click it, it's gonna install it into Photoshop for you. Now you want to look for the action panel button, which should be on your panels bar over here. If you don't see it over here, you can go up here to Window and you'll find actions right there. Or you can press Alt F9. But once you press it, it'll open up that panel for you. And your action will be at the very bottom of the list. So if you can see, you've got your multi mockup, and then you've got 2 actions. You've got load design and save design. I have them separated on purpose, and I'll go over that in just a second. So we're gonna click on load design, and then we're gonna press this play button. Ignore that error message, it's not a big deal. Navigate to the file you want to design, you want to mock up, and you see it automatically adds it in there. Go ahead and do your resize. And once you hit that check, it's going to automatically save it and close out of it for you. So now is where I'm going to show how to use the rest of the features of the mockup. And this will explain why I've got that action split up between between load and save. Because this way it'll give you time to see the design on the tumbler. You can change the backgrounds, you can change the shadows, all of that stuff. Now, with the highlights and shadows, they can change, like, sometimes they won't show up as well on one design as they would on another design. So keep that in mind as you are uploading your stuff, because you might need to make a tweak on 2 of the things. So let's see. We're going to start with highlights and shadows on our first mockup. If you collapse that folder, you'll see you've got a glossy overcoat, and I'll undo them so you can see, highlights, rim shading, and shading. You've got your blending options are up here, and this is your blending mode. As you see, glossy is set to screen. I do not recommend messing with these blending modes, because as you see, depending on the mode, it can really change how it's going to look. And you don't want things to be gray or black. As you see, it can really change even the coloring of the design. So I wouldn't touch that on any of these things, really on anything. What you can do is mess with the opacity right here and the fill. So let's say we want the glossy overcoat to be brighter. So let's take that up. That's pretty bright. Let's say we want it to be less. We take it down. You just play with it until you get it how you want it to look. I try to give you guys as much flexibility as possible so you can really make these changes however you need them. So you've got those options for all of those. You've also got these bottom shadows. Again, don't mess with the blending mode, but you can mess with the opacity and fill. And let's see, you can also move these You can go down, you can go over, whatever you want. I know I've had people message me before who thought that the shadows were too light or that they were up too high or something like that. So they're now available for you guys to tweak and play with as much as you want. You've also got this folder up here, extra highlights and shadows. If you turn this on, you see that the shadows and the highlights kind of pop a little bit more. I have this folder, has 2 filters in it. It's got a brightness contrast filter and a vibrance filter in there. Now this folder is going to apply to all 3 mockups. So anything that is, if this is visible, you'll see it in these. So let's take that off and I'll show you mockup 2. This is what it looks like with that on. This is what that looks like with that on. So, things to keep in mind. If you want to make changes to it, you can. If you double click on the icon, it's going to open up its property panel. See brightness, contrast, and then you've got these little sliders. And if you drag and drop, as you see, it will like greatly affect the entire document. So be very careful when you play with those, because it will affect not just the first one, but all 3 and everything about them. So just things to keep in mind. So that's, backgrounds. You've got background options in here. I set you up with 8 to start with. So I'll run through these really fast just so you can get an idea of what this comes with. Just a nice variety to go with all kinds of designs that you've got. And then on this white shimmer, I've attached a color change feature. So if you click that visibility on, you'll see that the color of the white shimmer is changed. If you double click this color palette, it's going to open up your property panel for the hue saturation filter. And you want to make sure that this colorize checkbox is checked. Sometimes you'll like accidentally check it off and you'll come on here, turn it on, and you'll be like, why isn't there a color there? It's most of the time it's because this little button has been unchecked. So just make sure that that's checked and all should be well. You can then drag the slider around to whatever color that you want, and then you can make it more vibrant, less vibrant, lighter, darker, whatever you need. It's just another way to give you some more flexibility with your mockups. So that's it for mockup 1. Mockup 2 and 3 are very similar. Highlights and shadows are the same. Your shadow stuff, the lids, all that stuff is the same. Backgrounds, you've got 4 different ones. So you've got the white shimmer, you've got marble, wood, and paper. And just like with the other one, I've got the color changing feature on here. Now, this one up here, if you take a look at it, you see this little arrow. And this arrow means that if I were to hide this white shimmer background, that color is not being seen on any of these other backgrounds. So now, let me make sure I got those all done right. Okay, good. Back to mockup 2. Let's turn that hue saturation on. We're going to double click this color palette and notice there is no little arrow right here. This means that it's going to apply to each of these backgrounds. So that's one thing that you guys can do to change all of those. Now, I said before not to mess with the color mode, but this is one exception. If you will change, I like looking at it on marble because I think it's like the easiest to see. So if you've got the hue saturation layer selected, and let's say you've got it on marble, go up to the blending options and change it from normal to color. And you see that the green isn't like an overall effect. It really just goes to where the colors are supposed to be at. So you still have like some lighter white spots that you didn't really have up here. See? But then if you go back here, you have a little bit of that differentiation. So that's the only layer I'd say that you can mess the blending option on. I'll leave it on normal for now, just for those that don't want to do that. But it's cool that you can make those changes to these backgrounds to really get them to match your designs. That is going to be the same thing for Mockup 3. You can just go in and change those, and again, you can change this to color up there. Now, if you are going to keep this as a design, I would highly recommend putting a watermark, a logo, something on here just to protect your work. I personally don't have this one synced. Like I've got Mockup 1, 2, and 3. They're all linked. So when you change those, this one will change. But I have my personal one set to where this one doesn't change, and I have it set to like a message to buyers. Just so that way it's not something that can really be stolen by any customers or anything. A couple other changes you could do. I've got this gradient overlay on here. It's supposed to help add like shadow and highlights to the paper. But I'm not the biggest fan of it, to be honest. So if you don't want to use it, you just turn off the eyeballs for it. It's not the end of the world. Just don't hit this main eyeball, because if you do, it takes away the drop shadow that's there. And then you've got your overlay shadows here, and this comes with Monstera leaves and blinds. As you see, the opacity and fill is as high up as it needs to be, but if you click on the overall folder for that, you'll see the opacity is low. So if you take this up, you'll see them more. I like more subtle shadows, but I know not everyone is about that. So again, make those changes however you like. I've given you the tools to be able to do it. So hopefully you can make your stuff like really pop and look good for your business. But that's really all for customization with this. So if we go back to the action, then you've got your save action. And then if you press play, it's just going to run through. So let's go back to a folder really fast so we can save. So I have this set up so it's Mockup 1, Mockup 2, Mockup 3. So you can just quickly save. So 1, 2, 3. Easy peasy. So that is how to use this in Photoshop. If you guys have any questions, if y'all need help with Photoshop, with the mockup, if y'all have suggestions about anything, please feel free to comment below or message me in my Etsy shop. You are more than welcome to contact me about whatever. I'm always happy to help. Now, if you are ready to look at the Photopea stuff, stick around. I'll be with you in just a second. Okay, guys, I'm going to go over how to use this in Photopea now. Now, as I said before, it's very similar to Photoshop. You will use it in a web browser like you would Canva, but as long as you have a web browser, you can access it. So on a PC, iPad, phone, whatever, as long as it's web browser, you're good. Now, you don't have to have an account, and it's 100% free. And again, it's so similar to Photoshop. So there's not that much of a learning curve, and a lot of the things are the same. So as I said in the first part of the tutorial, I'm not going to go over everything I went over in the Photoshop portion of the tutorial, because it's all going to stay the same. Literally all the same things that I did in there, you can do in here. The only thing I'm going to go over is how to mess with the smart objects, because that process is a little different. Another thing that is different is you can't use the action file in Photopea. And I think that's because the process of the smart object is different in Photopea. So I'm probably going to have to make the action file in Photopea. So in case you haven't shopped with me before, I will do updates to mockup files pretty often, at least once every couple months. If you guys ever contact me about a change that needs to be made or a problem, I try to get that up pretty quick. So inside your folder, you're going to see you've got folders for actions and old versions. And I'm usually really good about moving the older files, like the older version files, into that older versions file, and then you'll have a newly updated file in the main folder, and it will have the date at the end of it. So you can always like quickly look and see, oh, they put out a new release for this mockup. Well, you also want to go check the actions folder, because you may just find a Photopea action file at some point. So I will try and get that stuff done maybe within the next month. It's July 18th. I will try and get it done by mid-August. I've got a lot of things on my plate right now. But once I get done with those, I intend to go back and do Photopea actions for all my mockups. So keep your eyes peeled for those things. Now, I guess I'll go over quickly like the change in this as opposed to the Photoshop version. It's really only with the smart object. So look for the red tab layers. Remember, these are going to be your smart object layers. It's still set as a one-click change, so if you change one, it's going to change all three on all three mockups, which is fantastic. So let's double-click this thumbnail. It goes ahead and opens that up. Now, you're going to go to File, and in Photoshop, we would do Open, but we're not going to do Open. We're going to do Open in Place. And you will see why in just a second. Let's go open something. And as you see, it went ahead and automatically did copy, paste, and free transform all in one go. So in a way, it's kind of like you're already using an action, but without having to actually use an action. So the only downside to not having the actions in this is you won't have the quick save feature, but at least with this, it'll quickly upload to everything. Now, again, with resize, my little trick is just getting it up in that little corner. And then if this is highlighted, hold down Shift and grab this anchor point and drag and drop down there. Once you're happy with the resize, you can hit this check or you can press enter. And we're going to go up to File and we're going to press Save Smart Object, or you can press Control S. And this will update all the smart objects. See if we go back, take a peek, and it's on all of them. So that's really the only change between Photopea and Photoshop. It's not that big. But I do get people who will message me and be like, well, I don't know how to get my file in there. Oh, I don't know how to save the smart object document. So hopefully this helps walk you through everything just right. But if you guys have questions, suggestions, whatever, about either program, about the mockup, whatever, feel free to comment below, message me in my Etsy shop, whatever. I usually get back to people within a day. But yeah, I'm around. I'm always happy to help. So let me know what I can do for you. But I hope this tutorial was helpful and helps you guys figure out how you can use these mock-ups best for your business. And I hope you enjoy these mock-ups. Have a good day.